everyone, and thank you so much for coming back and joining me for another Retro Fridays video. I really enjoy doing these. Tonight, as you can tell, I have picked a real comedy gold classic. I have picked Coming to America, so let's just go straight ahead. We're just going to go straight ahead with this movie that I want to talk about this evening. The reason why I chose this movie is because I love Eddie Murphy. I'm an 80s baby, and of course I love tons of 80s movies. Like, you should see my collection. I have so many 80s movies mainly, honestly. And what is there not to love about this movie? It is just an overall fun film to watch, and it's so funny. It's comedy gold. It's a classic. And Darth Vader is in this movie, aka Mufasa. And has anybody seen the Big Bang Theory episode where Sheldon pretty much like stalks James Earl Jones down? And then he says to him, "Take it away, Mufasa." I absolutely love the Big Bang Theory. Sheldon's my favourite. So it's really funny watching this movie because you know the scene where he's walking about with Eddie Murphy, his son Akeem, and he's talking to him in the garden, and you just see random elephants and zebras walking by the garden. It's just so funny because he played, obviously he did the voice of Mufasa, so he seems to like playing king roles as a king because he's obviously king in this movie. I think the whole entire cast in this movie are fantastic. There's no one in the movie that I had any issues with. Samuel L. Jackson, randomly, you know, of course he was in the movie, and I still find it really funny because I just keep thinking about that awful movie that he was in, Snakes on a Plane. I wish I had never wasted my time watching that movie, but anyways, we're going to move on. I love the fact that, of course, I absolutely love Eddie Murphy. He is so talented, and he is phenomenal at what he does. I think he's talented as an actor, but also obviously his comedic performances as well. And what I love is he doesn't just play Akeem in this, he plays other characters, and it's just so random and out there and funny to me. And he plays, you know, the guys that work in the barbers and everything in Queens when he goes to Queens, and also the lead singer from the band Sexy Chocolate, you know, when they're up and they're at the church and everything. I just think that that was just so out there random, but that I love just random cheesy corny mad things. It's just so out there. I have to touch upon the music, of course, because music in 80s movies was just so gosh darn groovy and so super cheesy. The sounds and everything that was just put in there, just so retro and groovy. And that's something that I really miss in movies nowadays, you know, because you always get all these modern songs and everything. It's very hard for me, actually. I was thinking about, in terms of characters, who's my favourite character. And I thought about it, guys, and I'm sorry, I can't actually pick a favourite. But the three that I thought really stood out and shone for me in this movie would have been Simi, Akeem, and Akeem's father, the king. There's other funny characters in there as well, such as, you know, the landlord that rents out the place to stay in when they go to Queens. He's really super funny. And also Daryl, which was Lisa's boyfriend, and he's just absolutely full cheesy. You could not stick that guy in real life. You couldn't stomach him, but he's funny to watch because he's just so cringe. I love Easter eggs, and this is what I want to get to next. I thought it was so cool, the Easter egg of the characters Randolph and Mortimer that were in the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, alongside Eddie Murphy. And last week, if you were here, I actually did a Retro Friday of the movie Trading Places. So I thought that that was really cool because the characters that they played in this movie Coming to America were the same two characters of how they would have left and how their lives would have ended up after the events of that movie, and they ended up being homeless. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious because he went over and handed them a crap ton of money because he's the prince and he has his own money and everything. So I really love when movies do Easter eggs and things like that, and I really loved the Easter egg in this one. To me, it's just a fun movie about Prince Akeem. You know, he's sick of everything being done for him, rose petals being thrown at his every footstep. He's tired of everybody doing everything for him. So then his father has arranged this arranged marriage at the beginning of the movie, and he realises to himself, I don't want this. I would rather actually go out and find a wife of my own that I fall in love with naturally. And then she comes down the aisle and everything, and it's absolutely hilarious. But I will get to that in a second. But this movie really showed to me that when someone really genuinely loves you for who you are, that they love you for just who you are simply, and not for what you are, as in your title, because he obviously was a prince. So he wanted her to fall in love with her because of just who he was as a person, and not because of his role basically of being a prince. And I want to talk about now when, you know, the arranged marriage came down the aisle, because that was absolutely hilarious. The dude that sings the song was just so, it wasn't even that it was out of tune, it was out of key. And he sings, free from your infection to be used at your discretion, or something like that, and it's just absolutely hilarious. Your queen to be, and it's the way he sings it, your queen to be. It's absolutely hilarious. And the funny thing is more so James Earl Jones's face, because he's just sitting there smiling like it's a normal thing for him to sit and smile. I don't know how all the actors at that scene kept a straight face. I can imagine they would have had to take at least 80 to 90 takes, because there's no way I could have took that in any way seriously and sat and smiled. The face on James Earl Jones was just classic. And it was really funny when Akeem was telling the girl that he was meant to marry at, you know, this arranged wedding of his, so you'll do anything I say. It's like, yes. He said, bark like a dog, hop on one leg and everything. He was getting her to do everything. And then he was asking her questions like, which kind of movie do you like? And whichever movie you like. It's like, what song do you like, or something like that. Like, whichever song you like. So it's just, she was like literally like a robot. They had her trained to just do whatever he had said. But who would want that really, to be married for the rest of your life to pretty much a robot? And so that's when it really started to annoy him even more so. So he said to his dad, look, just, I want to find my own wife, I don't want this, let me try. And he said, just give me 40 days and I'll see if I can find a wife. And his dad was like, right, okay. So Akeem and Simi he's freaking hilarious, went to Queen's, and that's where Akeem met Lisa at, you know, the church. And then he was able to find out that he worked at McDowell's fast foods, which is hilarious because they use the same logo as McDowell's instead of McDonald's. And he then got a job there and was pretty much completely flirting with her and everything, and, you know, really trying to get going out with her. But at the time she was going out with that cheese fest, you know, hair fella, and he even was doing like an advert on TV for, you know, his hair, and I can't remember, how's it go? It was like something, and it's all so silky smooth, or something like so really random like that and just corny. And yeah, he was another out and out love himself. He was so in love with himself. You couldn't have him around you, basically. I just couldn't. But he's funny to watch on screen, if that makes sense. And then obviously Lisa and Akeem go out on a date and everything, and, you know, they really end up liking each other and they get to know each other, and it's almost like, yeah, they fall in love basically. But then she ends up finding out that he's a prince basically. But the only reason why that happened was because stupidly those two idiots had requested more money from their mum and dad, from the mum and dad, the king and queen. And then they're like, well, we had a ton of money, but obviously like Simi was spending it on crap like, you know, big jacuzzi hot tubs, and he done the whole room up just to make it look all fancy and everything. So then they knew there was something up, so the king and queen went to Queen's and pretty much was looking for their son Akeem. And then he went to Lisa's father's house, and he went in and spoke to Lisa, and I thought it was really cruel. I always find that part really soul destroying and so unfair, because he goes in and says to her, well, my son, sorry, pretty much love, he was only over here to sow his royal oats. And you're going, no, don't be telling her that. That's horrible. That's a really, really nasty thing to do, dude. Like James Earl Jones, Darth Vader. I am disappointed. But yeah, I mean, it ended well though, this movie, because obviously, you know, he went back home and everything, but then when the arranged sort of marriage thing, which he thought was happening, obviously it was Lisa that came down the aisle, and he lifted her veil up and he seen that it was Lisa, and he was so overjoyed, and the mum and dad and everything were so happy. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious the way the Queen was sort of looking over at Lisa McDowell's dad, and they were both sort of like, you know, like maybe we could get together kind of thing. Because even the dad, the king was saying to I keep going to say Eddie Murphy, guys, sorry, Akeem, that I just assumed that you slept with your bathers, because I know I do. But the funniest thing was the way he done it. I know I do. And it was freaky, like the way he raised his eyes and his eyebrows up and smiled. And it was just so cheesy. But what I love was the enthusiasm on his dad's face with that smile and his eyes was utter classic in my opinion. So it was a really lovely, warm-hearted, sweet, ever so sweet ending. And even though I've seen this movie a gazillion times, I don't even know how many times I've seen this movie, so I'm just going to use the word gazillion, even though that's not possible. But anyway, I've seen it a lot of times. I'm just going to stop talking nonsense now. I've seen it a lot of times, that's all I have to say. Shut up, Julie. So what I'm trying to say is it is a brilliant movie, and no matter how many times I've seen this, I still always get really choked up at the end, and I go, oh, so sweet. Like, it's almost like I believe in that moment that these two people are freaking real and these two people are getting married. Like, at the end, even though I've seen it so many times from when I was really young, but oh my goodness, the talented actors throughout this whole entire movie. And I thought it was amazing that they had such a cast put together. Like James Earl Jones and Eddie Murphy, for example. That's just absolutely classic. It really, really is. But I want to mention some funny parts. Of course, there's too many to mention. You may as well just say funny moments, start from the start of the film and end almost pretty much at the end of the film. So funny parts that I will just mention is when one of the girls in the bathing tub said to Eddie Murphy, I'm not going to say the actual word, but the royal something is clean, your highness. It's absolutely hilarious. And also another one would be Simi, when he said to Eddie Murphy, this was pretty much at the very start of the film, and he says, you sweat from a baboon's balls. That's hilarious. And also when Simi, actually talking off Simi, he played a double character as well, in the way Eddie Murphy played other characters. Well, he played a double character too. They were both, when they both went to Queen's, they were walking about in, you know, like sweaters so that they don't look like they're really famous, or obviously royalty. And they walk into a bar in Queen's and they both sit down and they're trying to find a date, and they're letting people come over and talk away to them to see what they're like or whatever. It almost looked like a freaking interview-esque kind of deal, kind of thing, but anyhow. And then Simi comes over. It's actually him, the actor that plays him, and he's so talented, honestly. And he was sitting there with a wig on, dressed like a woman, and the lipstick and everything, the lot on. But he was looking at himself and flirting with himself. He said something like, I want to tear you apart, or I want to rip you apart. I'm near sure it was, I want to tear you apart. It was absolutely freaking well hilarious. And also, yeah, that's everything. Actually, I'd already mentioned that. I had that written down because I always write notes down in case I forget anything. I had written down, you know, what I was saying about his dad saying, I always assume that you know, sleep with all your bathers. I know I do. But the other thing I wanted to mention was, you know, the music video by Michael Jackson, Remember the Time? Well, Eddie Murphy plays like a king at the beginning of that music video, which really just reminds me of this movie. And also another thing I want to say, I was saying earlier, some people, when I say to them that Eddie Murphy sings and has songs, they're like, no, what are you talking about? I have never known of that. And I always have to then say to them, just just go on to YouTube and type in Eddie Murphy and Michael Jackson, what's up with you? Basically, it is a song of Eddie Murphy singing along with Michael Jackson. I don't know if any of you have heard the song. It's like, what's up, what's up, what's up with you? What's up, what's up, what's up with you? Something like that. Anyways, I just thought I would say that because sometimes when I say to people Eddie Murphy sings, they're thinking, huh? What is she talking about? Is she just like making stuff up right now? But I'm seriously not making stuff up. If you go to YouTube, you'll find it. And if you didn't actually know that Eddie Murphy did a song with Michael Jackson, you probably will have a right laugh because it is a really super like old retro cheesy video of those two. So yeah, have a look, have a laugh. If you want to have a laugh, why not? But thank you so much for coming along and joining me this evening. I really enjoy doing these. Thanks so much. I love coming along and seeing what all of you think of my Retro Fridays. And thanks so much for everybody who was able to make it to the actual premiere this evening. And don't worry if you're coming in late, because some people that come in late, they think that the video is going to then be erased forever. But that's not the way it works, guys. The way it works is once this video finishes being played, it will then stay forever on my channel. And they'll all of my Retro Fridays are on a Retro Fridays playlist on my channel. I have tons. I've done this for pretty much like 4, maybe more than 4 months now. So if you want to see any other ones, you know, do feel free at your own leisure to go to the Retro Fridays playlist and have a little look-see. Other than that, I'm going to go and I will speak to you all soon, guys. But until then, don't forget that the Force will be with you always.